I think a lot of us probably have very fond memories of consoles from the past. I mean, isn't that what they say? Nostalgia, rose-colored glasses, all those sort of things. It was very clear to me that when Microsoft released the Xbox 360, the sequel to the OG Xbox VCR, that they were definitely out for blood. They had a very, very sleek, stylish design, and they released some really cool titles for it. But the flagship of everything, and I think the thing at least that I remember most fondly, was the controller, which they called the Xenon controller. And shockingly enough, I want you to subscribe to the channel because it's important to me. But even more shockingly enough is that Microsoft has announced that they are actually bringing the controller back. And I got to say, before I get into today's video with you guys, I hate what IGN has done with their webpage. It is so much bloat on the left-hand side with these giant tabs and this like giant frame thing. It's so ugly. I hate it. So I probably could have gotten another site of my news, but IGN put together a pretty clever write-up. So I figured let's just roll with it. Anyways, the headline reads that Microsoft's iconic Xbox 360 controller is being resurrected. So I was actually going to do a little show and tell today and pull out my old 360 controller and show it off for you guys, but I think I threw them away. And I probably did because of the insane stick drift that I experienced on the numerous controllers that I owned. Recall, I had an Xbox 360 at launch, and like many of you, I had the Red Ring of Death. I got a refurbished unit. That burnt out, and I swore off Microsoft. That's when I truly became a Sony pony. It was that exact moment I became a Sony pony. But when Gears of War 3 came out, my wife surprised me with the Elite Edition of the Xbox 360. That was the slimmed down black version. Then I got back into Microsoft a little bit and enjoyed some of those games, but I still remain a Sony pony. But every controller I had insane amounts of stick drift. And I feel like the design was flawed. I haven't seen it in the Elite controller. I haven't seen it in the Xbox One controller. Definitely not in my DualShock 3, my DualShock 4, or my DualSense. This particular controller seemed to have something wrong with it. So I hope they can fix it. But the article reads that as to commemorate the 17th anniversary of the release of the Xbox 360, which is such a weird number. Like, it's not 15, it's not 20. It's like, let's go with 17. Like, okay. Hyperkin has announced that they are working with Microsoft to re-release the iconic controller. As I mentioned, it is going to be called the Hyperkin Xenon, which is named after the code name for the Xbox 360. So they're kind of throwing a nod out to that. And it's going to be compatible with the new Xbox Series S, the new Xbox Series X, and all your Windows devices, which is great. The most notable changes, as mentioned, include the dedicated menu, view, and share buttons. So they've taken the base design and they've added just a couple small buttons here to now make it completely modernized. So it will, in fact, work with the newer games with some of those feature sets as well. And it still looks like a great controller. And I still, despite the kind of odd D-pad, which always felt a little loose to me, always felt really good in the hand. Looks like they're going to be releasing a white iteration and a black iteration to match your Xbox Series S or X. Or if you're going for a theme on your PC and you want a certain color, they're going to have that. And I would honestly expect, oh, we got red as well. That's kind of nice. And pink. Oh, we're all over the place. I would honestly expect going forward, you may see some sort of limited edition controller like they did with the Halo Duke controller, where they themed it in the Covenant purple. So I suspect we will see something. Microsoft doesn't really have a lot on the horizon right now outside of Starfield coming out early next year, we think, unless it's been delayed again. I don't know. But, you know, typically you would pair these controllers with some piece of software to really kind of like hype it up. But if you're nostalgic and you're playing Game Pass games and you want to relive the good old days, you can. My fondest memory of the stick drift definitely was playing Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, where my controller stick drift was off the chart broken, so much so that my camera would slowly pan, and it always made the cinematic view, like as my guy was like running through the fields, like the camera would slowly pan. And that was like the 4th or 5th controller I went through, which was absolutely crazy. So as the article goes on to read, this isn't the first time Hyperkin has brought something back. They did release the Duke back in 2018, and then to celebrate the 2021, well, actually 2020, no, in 2021 was the 20th anniversary of Halo Combat Evolved. They mentioned, as I mentioned before, they released the Hyperkin controller there. That had some really cool variants. A little LCD screen with Cortana in it, and it had the old Xbox green blob. So that was kind of neat. So they do this as well. And it goes on to mention that they are releasing it in 4 colors. No price or release date has been announced yet, and we expect to see it early next year. So pretty cool. I mean, I would have to say that to me, is it something I would run out and buy? No. The only prop I do always carry on my desk, as you know, is my tried and true, most loved Elite controller, this being the Halo variant, which I've seen back in stock, which is crazy. Good. You should want this. This is amazing. I play every single game on my PC with a controller, including Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. How sacrilegious I'm playing a Call of Duty game with a Microsoft Halo branded controller, and I haven't touched Halo Infinite in months. But if you're interested in the Hyperkin 360 controller, I'm sure it'll come out. I don't think it's going to sell out, but it was an iconic thing, and I still know people on the PC side of the house, my PC Master Race friends, who actually still use their OG Xbox 360 controller to play Steam games. So it definitely was a workhorse, and it just always had a good feel to it. So I'll be curious to see when it comes out if the stick drift thing is still a problem, if they have gone back and re-engineered how the analog sensors work, or if they're just basically copying and pasting the old design. I don't know. But that would be my biggest concern. And then I think now, by today's standards, you may think the D-pad sucks because it wasn't that great back then. And especially, again, with my prop controller here, the D-pad here on the Elite controller having the option of the traditional, plus versus the octagon plate, and how much snappier and responsive that is compared to what the 360 controller was. Depending on what game you play and how you play it, you might find that mushy. So they definitely have some design hurdles to overcome, but I think they got the nostalgia down in spades. I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. Let me know if you're interested in this, because I want to hear about it. That's it for today's video. Thank you all so much. Have a happy and wonderful and safe Thanksgiving. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.